Hello, I'm David.
And I'm Lucy.
Welcome to another Tudio Cameo episode. These sometimes short episodes will be slotted into the regular ones, and we'll cover those characters who made a fleeting yet tantalising or possibly threatening appearance in other episodes. We don't always have a lot of information about them, so they can't have a full episode of their own, but they're too interesting to abandon completely, and they help fill in the gaps and enabled us to create as full a picture of the era as we can. And today...
King Alfonso II of Naples. Nut job number 2.
Yes, okay, I'm braced, I'm ready.
He was on the throne of Naples for a grand total of 1 year.
Doesn't bode well.
No, it makes you think, why are we doing this, man, really, honestly? I mean, the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem much to write home about. But Caligula was only on the throne for 4, wasn't he? And he's pretty famous.
Yes, he packed a lot in.
Yeah, wasn't nice. I read that he was very able, yet completely ruthless, even unhinged, was the quote. I don't think you can be very able and completely unhinged myself. They don't go together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe very able, but grew up with a father who kept a museum of mummies.
Yes. Didn't stand a chance.
Mm-hmm.
He was born in Naples in 1448, and his mother was Isabella of Clermont, Ferrante's first wife. And I originally planned to split these notes into good Alfonso and bad Alfonso. But I quickly ditched that idea, because even in the good section, terrible things kept creeping in. And I'd be writing about abductions and beatings, and I'd suddenly remember, oh, hang on a minute, we're meant to be in good Alfonso. So I forget that. Even the good is bad with Alfonso.
Oh dear, that's a worrying start. At least you had a good section for his father.
Yes, I did, yes. Well, this is a good little bit. As a young man, he was said to be handsome, although he had a wonky eye, or a squint, or a Medusa stare. He was known as Il Guercio, which, according to Google Translate, means the Gueccio.
Oh.
It's something to do with his eye. But also, we've heard about these handsome people before, like Philip the Fair and Pico della Mirandola, and then you look at the portrait and think, okay, right.
Well, I mean, beauty standards change.
They
but,
do. Yes. But that sort of hangdog Eeyore look, that surely can never have been in, can it?
No, true.
And the pudding basin cut doesn't help. I don't think that will ever come back.
You do sometimes wonder if they're the kind of people who were called the handsome and the fair in a manner of saying, "What? Tell me, what do they call me out there?" And we're going, the handsome, definitely the handsome, nothing else.
Yes. Yeah, I should imagine that people were constantly, they must have been walking on eggshells around these people. And he was one of those people who just can't sit still. He only slept for a few hours a night, like Margaret Thatcher.
Oh, that...
I'm not linking the two in any other way. Just the sleeping bit. He could run on very little fuel, hardly eating or drinking. And I originally put that under good Alfonso, but since much of the stuff he did was awful, maybe people would have been happier if he had slept a little bit more. He was up and doing, but he was up and doing terrible things. He slept with, and get this, his wife.
Good Lord.
And this was commented on, like Henry VII. He slept with his wife in the same bed. But don't run away with the idea that he's a paragon of sexual fidelity like Henry. No, we will come across that bit in a minute. He did sleep with his wife in the same bed, which was considered a bit odd, but he also slept in other beds, as we shall see. Whether they wanted him to or not.
Oh, no.
He'd had a humanist education and was a great patron of the arts, like Dad and Grandad.
This humanist education stuff, I mean, it's a great idea. It doesn't seem to work very well.
It doesn't. Well, his tutor was Giovanni Potano, and he wrote a treatise for him on how to be a good ruler. And he must have spent a lot of his life with his head in his hands, wondering where it had all gone wrong, because Alfonso either didn't read it or didn't understand it, or thought, sod that, threw it over his shoulder and decided to ignore it. Yeah. 1465, Alfonso became King of Jerusalem, which was a title that was passed down to him on the death of his mother. But I can't imagine anyone in Jerusalem knew that he was their king. It's purely symbolic.
No, well, that was Rene of Anjou at one point, wasn't it? And he had sort of 4 titles, and couldn't actually control any of them.
And got no money from any of them. No. I think that was the other thing. As with many of these rulers, Alfonso topped up his income as a condottieri. And he fought in the war following the Pazzi conspiracy, and he fought in the War of Ferrara, which was that tussle between Ferrara and Venice over salt. He also helped his dad fight off the Pope's attempt to make Naples a papal state. I mean, it was a papal state, but he fought off the Pope's attempt to remind Ferrante of that fact. And in fact, he spent much of his time fighting, which shows he can't have spent every night with his wife, unless he took up with him. Seems unlikely. He's said to have been a very good general, but he would insist on having imperial Rome-style triumphs every time he came home from battle, which must have got a bit irksome, I think.
Oh, no. I'll bet you he didn't have the servant, standing by him whispering, "Remember, you are but a man."
No. If he did, he probably got punched in the face for it.
Oh, no.
And as I say, Alfonso topped up his income as a condottieri, and his income needed topping up because Neapolitan coffers were bare, which is not good at the best of times, but Charles VIII was on his way. So,
Here he goes.
Despite the shortage of money, Alfonso managed to create magnificent villas, which really impressed Charles VIII when he arrived in Naples. And we know they were stuffed with sumptuous tapestries and works of art because what was being taken back to France on that baggage train that was ransacked by the Italian army at the Battle of Fornovo.
Don't imagine they were too careful with the tapestries.
No, I would think they're much harder to get rid of than bits of silver and money.
Yeah, I suppose if you were really sort of determined, you could probably unwrap all the thread of gold and thread of silver out of them that they found out.
I'm not sure where Alfonso got the money for these villas and tapestries, but I could hazard a guess, really.
Yeah, it was very dangerous to be a baron in Naples at this point.
It was. Do not have land in Naples. The Siege of Otranto. One thing that really does give him a tick in the good Alfonso column is the fact that when Pope Sixtus called for someone to oust the Ottomans from Otranto, Alfonso was the one who said, "Stand back and leave it to me." Mind you, Ferrante and Alfonso milked it for all they were worth after that. Whenever they had trouble with the Pope, they'd just reply, "Who was it who relieved Otranto, eh?" And this gave Alfonso almost legendary status because the Ottoman invasion had been brutal. I mean, they're all brutal. You don't get fluffy, bally invasions, but it had been grim.
Well, I mean, you can see how much hay Matthias Corvinus made out of it, and he didn't really do it. So they did do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people claiming to have fought the Ottomans. In fact, there was only one of them who actually did, or 2 of them. There was Stephen the Great, and of course Dracula.
Dracula's becoming the new Margaret Beaufort recently. I think I prefer, except if she has then he has.
The Archbishop of Otranto, Stefano Pendinelli, was murdered at the altar of the cathedral, which was, everyone found that very shocking. I mean, you can't do that. But when we looked at the Pazzi conspiracy, when Lorenzo de' Medici and his brother were attacked, they were attacked in the cathedral by a couple of priests, among others. And yet people were far more shocked that the Turks had done it. I'd have thought that having someone of the Christian faith kill someone in a cathedral, it's got to be worse, surely.
Yeah.
But they did kill an archbishop, and, it's not on.
Oh, no.
The second atrocity was the slaughter of 12,000 people who refused to convert to Islam, and 5,000 were enslaved. And the cathedral became a mosque. That didn't go down well.
No. And look, I mean, I'm very sympathetic for the Archbishop, but I think 12,000 people is a little more important. I know that the writers will all be focusing on the person who they've heard of, but...
Yeah, you can actually go and see those 12,000 people in the cathedral. Umberto of the So You Think You Can Rule Persia.
Gosh!
podcast sent me a photo of
Yes.
the bones. There's mainly skulls, but you can see the odd pelvis. And they're stacked up on the walls behind glass, either side of the altar. I find Catholicism quite hard to get my head around. People were massively disturbed by Otranto because the Ottomans, they're here. They're on Italian soil. Maybe, just maybe, we should have done something before when we had the chance, some of them were thinking. And we've heard several times that it was Alfonso who saved the day at Otranto. However, and there's always a however, it wasn't as simple or as heroic as that. He did besiege the city for over a year, so Alfonso's actions were seen as sticking it to the infidel in no uncertain terms. Everyone was very happy about that, since, let's face it, that crusade the Pope keeps banging on about is never going to happen.
No.
And actually, if you look on the Wikipedia page for the Battle of Otranto, it says it was the papal forces that were led by Paolo Fregoso of Genoa who saved the day, not the Neapolitan forces led by Alfonso. But it's probably just quibbling. Also, the Ottomans had overstretched themselves. Most of the troops had been taken back to Albania, and there was just a garrison of 500 men. So it wasn't as though Alfonso had taken on the entire Turkish army.
No.
Moreover, it wasn't Alfonso or Fregoso, or even the Hungarian reinforcements which saved Otranto. It was the political shenanigans which followed the death of Mehmed II that we heard about in Prince Jem's episode.
Yes.
That meant that reinforcements couldn't be sent to Otranto.
Really, it is increasingly clear that if Mehmet had lived a bit longer, then we maybe would have France left. Apart from that, or maybe we were telling the fascinating story of the Tudor England, the last bit of Christianity in Europe during this period.
Yeah, I don't think Bajazet was a patch on him, really. But then maybe he didn't need to take over the whole of Christendom as Mehmet.
Yes. Yeah.
He's probably thinking, oh, Dad, come on, give it a break.
Let's just stabilise things a bit.
Luckily for Alfonso, none of this mattered. None of the fact that it might not have been him and that there weren't many people there. The myth grew up around Otranto and he basked in the glory. And the Ottomans did surrender. I mean, you can't take that away from him.
No,
even though we are trying to. But he was the hero of the day. Family. In 1465, Alfonso married Ippolita Maria Sforza. And she was very intelligent and well-read and beautiful and wise and chaste and devout and charitable and modest, and she avoided gossip. So she was perfection. She'd had a very extensive humanist education, and this didn't seem to have done her any harm, like it seems to with the Neapolitan lot.
Yes.
And a brief glimpse into her childhood, this probably did do her harm. She sometimes had to act as intermediary between her father, Francesco Sforza, and her mother, Bianca Maria Visconti, in a would you please ask your mother to pass the marmalade type way.
Oh, no.
In fact, she even had to come back from Naples on at least one occasion to try and make peace between them. That's not how you should bring up your children.
No. That is such a strange thought that, her husband probably be going, oh, it's such a shame. Me and my dad, we just get on so well. We're just so alike. It's such a pity that your family has these troubles.
Well, she might have been looking at his dad and thinking, oh, God, are you? The marriage between Ippolita and Alfonso got off to a rocky start. They had been married by proxy, as usual, and Ippolita, I don't mean as usual for Ippolita, this is her first time.
Yes.
Ippolita had already set off for Naples when the whole thing was almost called off. And the reason for this was because Ferrante of Naples had just killed Ippolita's brother-in-law.
And you do that.
And that was Jacopo Piccinino, the condottiere whom Ferrante invited to his court, wined and dined for a month and then pushed him out the window.
Yes, I remember.
I've since read that it was Ferrante who said he'd fallen out the window during a failed escape. But he was almost certain he'd strangled in prison on Ferrante's orders. But then Why would he escape if he's
Yes,
an honoured guest?
Yes, a failed escape. He just can't take any more vol au vent. You tried to escape.
He's thinking, this has gone on for a month. I've got enough. I can't eat any more.
Mind you, if he strangled him in prison, then it would be easier to turn him into, part of his museum. I mean, if he'd gone out the window, there'd be quite a lot of work needed to be done.
Yes, a bit of patching up, re-inflating.
Oh. I can hear Michelle objecting to that line from all the way across the Atlantic.
Oh, Lucy! Well, the Milan lot were thinking, do they really want their family linked to someone who'd murdered their relative? Mm-hmm. And eventually they decided, yeah, all right then. Yeah, whatever. She was welcomed into Naples with a huge ceremony, the sort of ceremony you might put on if you were trying to gloss over the murder of the bride's brother-in-law. Miraculously, Alfonso and Ippolita got on very well. And people commented on how much they caressed each other, and as we heard, they shared the same bed. And that wasn't normal. People, they generally slept apart and sort of, I don't know, either summoned or sort of trotted down the corridor if necessary. But no, they shared the bed all the time. Yeah. But it all went downhill pretty quickly. They were both very jealous. Ippolita had reason. I'm not sure. Alfonso did. Ippolita sent one of her servants, Donato, to follow Alfonso and report back on what he was up to and with whom. And Alfonso cottoned on to this. We don't know what he did to Donato, but we do know that Ippolita was very upset by it, so we presume he must have had him beaten up or something.
Yes.
Not good.
No.
Nothing nice. Ferrante was very happy with his daughter-in-law and loved to watch her dance and sing. But from what Ippolita was writing home to her mother, she felt that he was a bit too happy with her, and as far as she was concerned, it went beyond the bounds of what you'd expect from a father-in-law.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, sort of creepy uncle feel about it now.
Again, it's like when you were saying, oh, and he liked her, and I'm thinking, always with Ferrante, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. He likes her, did he?
He liked her so much, he never wanted her to leave.
Oh, no.
I don't know, I don't think she ended up there. As with Ferrante's wife, Joanna of Aragon, Ippolita took on the role of peacemaker. I mean, God knows, it's lucky that somebody is. But this was between Naples and Milan. And whereas before we heard that Lorenzo the Magnificent fearlessly set off alone to read poetry to Ferrante, it now turns out, in fact, he didn't leave Florence until Ippolita had given him her assurance that Ferrante wouldn't wine and dine him for a month. ...
Yeah.
So he didn't just turn up.
Yes, and to be fair, actually, that does make me feel like slightly better about Lorenzo the Medici, just kind of thinking, oh no, he actually did check with someone who was sensible.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, he must have heard rumours, at least, coming out of Naples. To have just turned up. Yeah. Sadly, Ippolita died in 1488 of a swelling in her head. I don't know what that was, brain tumour or encephalitis. Don't know. Alfonso had 5 children. When I say Alfonso, and not Alfonso and Ippolita, you notice.
Yeah.
They survived beyond childhood. 3 legitimate and 2 natural. And we know a surprising number of them. Of the legitimate, one was Isabella of Aragon, who married Gian Galeazzo Sforza, the one who looked like a puppy, and was almost certainly poisoned by his uncle Ludovico. Yeah. The natural children were Alfonso of Aragon, who was the second husband of Lucretia Borgia, the one who was killed by Cesare.
Yeah.
Well, Cesare had a go at him, didn't he? And then, so Alfonso took to his bed, and then somehow, when Lucretia came back, there was a dead body in the bed. And Cesare's henchman was just leaving. So
Yes.
I wouldn't go in there if I were you.
And history turns around and goes, must have been her then.
Yes. Cherchez la femme. And the other, Sancha, who was married to a little insignificant Geoffrey Borgia, and who was said to have had affairs with Cesare and Juan Borgia. as well as pretty much all the men on the Italian peninsula, if the rumours are to be believed. And I don't think she could have been as bad as she was painted.
No. That just sounds like another one of those slights on Joffrey, doesn't it? Like, it probably isn't even really about her. It's just kind of, yes, oh, that Joffrey, he's so pathetic, his wife is sleeping with his better brothers, and it's like... Oh.
Yes, yeah. He's going, I am a prince. Alfonso had several mistresses. This is Alfonso, our Alfonso, not the Alfonso that was married to Lucretia. So, as I said, he may have spent more time with his wife than usual, but that didn't make him Henry VII. His mistresses included his mother's bridesmaid and one of Joanna of Aragon's bridesmaids.
Oh, so he has a type.
He has a type. He's obviously one of these people who get drunk at weddings. His more notorious mistress was Trocchia Gazzella, and he made no effort to hide this affair, and Trocchia and their children lived at the court, which obviously hadn't pleased Hippolyta. He next turned his attention to Francesca Caracciolo, and she was married and faithful to her husband, so she ignored all Alfonso's letters.
I'm remembering something you said earlier, and I'm concerned.
Yes, here it comes. Alfonso wasn't used to being ignored, so he kidnapped her and then abused her over a number of days. Her father and husband went to King Ferrante and asked him to get his son to give Francesca back. Francesca then retired to a convent, where soon after she died of pain, we're told.
Oh, no.
Her father also died of pain when Alfonso had him murdered.
Oh.
Her husband then quickly monked himself, and this seems to have done the trick. I can't imagine Alfonso being that worried about killing a monk, but he didn't on this occasion. And this isn't the only example of this sort of behaviour. A lot of people die of pain when Alfonso's around.
Ooh.
He's like his dad, but not as artistic.
No.
He's just thuggish.
Yeah, his dad at least is almost gothic.
Yes.
In his extravagance, whereas
I bet he plays the organ in a great big cape as well.
Yeah, whereas this guy, he's just brutal and horrible and unpleasant. No.
Didn't bother to suggest you did the columns this time because I can't see you putting much in a good column.
No, I don't think so.
Apart from that, he was apparently quite the looker.
No.
Yeah, it's no compensation.
It doesn't help.
Alfonso was accused in an anonymous chronicle of, quote, violating virgins, taking other women at his pleasure, and abominable vice of sodomy, unquote. And I don't think we need to feel that the chronicle is any less reliable for being anonymous, because I wouldn't put my name to that.
No, absolutely.
A Venetian chronicle, bear in mind the Venetians were enemy of Naples, said of Alfonso and his father, quote, Nero was a saint amongst these tyrants, unquote. I mean, these are the words of the enemy, but yeah, I can see what they mean. And he took land. I'm not sure what legal basis he claimed for this, but expropriating land without compensation is just stealing as far as I can make out. Yeah.
Yes.
If the owners complained about it, they died in pain.
Oh
no, they died of pain. Sorry. He chucked the nuns out of the convent La Maddalena so he could build a villa in its place. I mean, he did build lovely villas, apparently. But
I really hope those nuns quickly found another convent.
yeah, ran like hell, I would,
Yes,
if I were them.
I'm sure. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, on this podcast, we don't find sex with nuns quite as funny as they do on Rex Factor.
Yeah, I think the original sex, I could be misremembering, but I think the original Sex of Nuns, the Edgar the Peaceful one, it was strongly implied that she didn't really want to be a nun.
No.
And that she very willingly chose to leave and become a queen. So it kind of was able to be funny, but yeah.
No, it'd be difficult to put a funny slant on that one.
No. Well,
The Order of the Garter. And there appears to be a little bit of a misunderstanding about this. So a quote from Edward Hall, quite a lengthy quote. Quote, "When King Henry was returned into England, he first of all things elected into the Society of St. George, vulgarly called the Order of the Garter, Alfonso, Duke of Calabria, son of Ferdinand, King of Naples, and after King of the same realm, until he was overcome by King Charles." Well, that's a potted history of everything we're doing in this episode. "And after the king sent Christopher Erswick, ambassador, with the garter, collar, mantle, and other habiliments appertaining to the companions of the said noble order. When the ambassador arriving in Naples delivered to the Duke the whole habile, with all the ceremonies and due circumstance thereunto belonging, which the Duke very reverently received, and with more reverence requested himself with the same in the solemn presence, thinking that by this apparel and vestiture he was made a friend and companion with the order with the King of England, whose friendship obtained, he feared nothing the assault or invasions of his enemies. And this was the cause that he desired so much to be the companion of that noble order, firmly believing that the King of England, sovereign of that order, should be aider and maintainer of him against the French king, whom he knew would pass the mountains and make war on him." Unquote. So the poor deluded fool thinks that Henry VII is going to come charging in like the 7th Cavalry to help him at his last moment. Hall goes on, quote, "For surely the statutes and ordinances of all the said orders do not oblige and bind them to that case." After this, the Duke dismissed the ambassador, rewarding him most princely. Unquote. So in other words, he thinks he's going to have Henry rushing to his aid. When he finds out it's not so, he just shoves a bit of money in Erswick's hand and sends him on his way.
No.
Yeah. He's thinking, oh, so the stuff you bought, that's it, is it? That collar and the mantle and whatever the hell that is. There's nothing else. Right. Well, I suggest you go home then. I wonder how many became knights of various orders, assuming that this would bind them to various people.
Well, of course, sometimes they did. I mean, if this had been Henry VIII, I could very well believe he would have suddenly charged over them and fallen off his horse. You know, it's just, or Maximilian. I mean, he wouldn't have actually turned up, but he had intended to.
He'd have got part of the way before running out of money and having to turn back. Well, the historian and advisor to the Medici popes blamed Alfonso for the French coming into Italy in the first place, saying that Ludovico Sforza had been, quote, "provoked by the monstrous arrogance of King Alfonso," unquote. But I read that Ludovico had been prepared to make peace with Alfonso. It was Ferrante he couldn't stand. And that was partly to do with him killing off members of his family, shoving him out of windows.
Yes, isn't it the case that he was already very firmly on his way and attacking before Ferrante died? So surely it had to be about Ferrante.
I would say it's more about Ferrante than it's going to be about Alfonso. But then Alfonso was riding about just generally causing havoc in the papal lands, so... We heard in Innocent's episode how Alfonso turned up and started threatening him about, "You'll be begging me to take those cities by the time I finished you." And this was all due to the backlash over Ferrante's non-payment over his feudal dues. So why was Alfonso in a position to turn up on the Pope's doorstep? And bear in mind that Innocent, when he was just common and garden Giovanni Battista Cibo, had lived in Ferrante's court, and so presumably had been brought up alongside, or at least in the vicinity of Alfonso. Maybe they loathed each other. I don't know. Innocent was 16 years older, so they wouldn't have been bosom buddies, but they must have known each other.
There's that scary kid. Yes. You know, he's trying to get out of the court, and there's this 5-year-old just kind of glaring at him.
With one eye, while the other eye shoots off in the other direction, yes. You're thinking, is he looking at me or what? Yeah. It must have been a creepy place to grow up.
Yes.
I wonder if Innocent was thinking, when his dad sent him there, thinking, you know, like little kids right home from boarding school. Why have you sent me here? It's horrible. I went to boarding school and we didn't have any museums of mummies or heads in jars that I remember.
Yeah.
It was quite a progressive boarding school.
Yes.
Anyway, Alfonso was incensed at the Pope's sheer nerve demanding the dues from Naples as one of the papal states. He then invaded the papal territory with 12 battalions And he joined up with Virginio Orsini. Because if you remember from Innocent's episode, Orsini houses had been burnt down at the instigation of Cardinal della Rovere. But it was Innocent who'd sent Rovere to mediate. And Rovere had thought, no, he can't have meant mediate. He must have meant burn the place down. So ultimately, poor Innocent got the blame. And the Orsini were none too happy about that. So they were quite anti-Innocent. Yeah. Florence too sent a considerable force, since Lorenzo and Ferrante had bonded over poetry. Milan sent 100 soldiers, since Ludovico saw the revolt of the Neapolitan barons as a threat to the stability of Italy as a whole. Because where would we be if barons start rising up just because they don't like their leader or think they're a usurper or something?
Yes.
And these troops reached the gates of Rome, and there was panic. And only Della Rovere kept his head, we hear. And he pretty much single-handedly saved Rome. I'd be quite interested to know the source of that information. Yes. Did Pope Julius keep a diary? On May the 9th, Innocent VIII sent a letter of support to the Neapolitan barons, saying, hang on in there, I'm on your side. And, Alfonso's just turned up, so I'm definitely on your side. Not putting up with that. And about the same time, Alfonso defeated Roberto Sanseverino, the Venetian mercenary who'd sided with the Pope. Soon after that, Alfonso was back outside Rome. And I wonder if Innocent now regretted sending that letter to the barons.
Oh, no.
Don't send!
No, I don't suppose you've just come here with a white horse and some tribute, have you?
I'd just take the horse, frankly. It looked as if the whole of Italy would erupt. Lorenzo the Magnificent was inciting several city-states to rise up. They didn't, but the Pope couldn't take any chances, so he had to divide his forces between Alfonso and Lorenzo. And then Boccolino Guzzone seized Ostino and said that if he couldn't keep it, he was calling in the Ottomans to help him, which he did. Matthias Corvinus was sending his army in, and the Turks had been spotted off the Italian coast. So a bit of a perfect storm for Innocent. That's why in the first episode I felt so sorry for him. There's just everything happened at once. Luckily, the situation resolved through negotiation. Ferrante seems to have taken it to the brink and then backpedalled. It had been very close. And what would have happened if Alfonso had got into Rome and taken the Pope prisoner? Well, the Pope would have been under Aragonese control. He might have been reduced to a spiritual leader rather than temporal one.
Oh, would never do.
No. Naples would have become much more powerful. There'd be no more sending that poor horse to Rome every year. Whether it would have prevented Charles VIII entering Italy, not so sure. But it might have led to a more unified Italy, which would have been more likely to prevent him just ambling down the peninsula unchallenged. Because at the moment, everyone's at each other's throats. But if you've got someone powerful joining up with Rome, then anybody who's against them is going to be quite puny. And given how well it could have gone for Naples, it does seem odd that Ferrante didn't follow through. But maybe toppling a pope is a daunting prospect even for an atheist like Ferrante.
Also, I suppose there's always that danger, at least at the moment, the Pope is kind of ineffectual Pope Innocent. If I capture him, they might just go, well, we'll elect a new one, and it's Julius. Oh, God.
Yeah, you can keep that one. We didn't like that one anyway. Right, when Alfonso became king, and nearly all this episode is about before he was king, the first thing he did was to declare war on Milan. And this was understandable since his daughter had been put under house arrest, his son-in-law had been poisoned, and his grandson had been unceremoniously shunted off the throne to make way for Uncle Ludovico.
Yeah.
Also, Alfonso thought to use this as a preemptive strike before Charles VIII got there, because it was common knowledge that Ludovico had suggested to Charles that he'd take Naples. So Alfonso thought, attack Milan first, then it won't be in any position to help Charles to take Naples. Sensible. And this was where we saw in Charles VIII episode that Alfonso's fleet was heading for Genoa, but they spent so long faffing about that Louis of Orleans' fleet just sneaked in ahead of them. And this whole enterprise backfired. Since then, Ludovico's resolve was redoubled. If Naples wants to attack me, then I'll damn well make sure that Charles gets a free run down to Naples.
Yes, quite.
The end of Alfonso.
That was quick.
Yeah, I know. Well, his end is not quite his death. It's a long, drawn-out end.
Ah, good.
The Neapolitan royal family had been quite complacent about Charles's invasion because, as we said in his episode, Naples is at the bottom. I mean, all the way through, Michel was saying, well, he can't make it because he's right at the bottom. Charles didn't have a hope in hell of getting there, and then suddenly he was crashing through Italy with no one to stop him. And Alfonso was terrified. He was racked by dreams and portents about the barons he'd secretly murdered. And possibly, although I didn't read this, about all the women he violated. Or maybe they didn't bother him.
You'd like to think that somewhere in his soul is, am I just an absolute piece of scum? It's just...
Yeah, I'd never thought of that before, but it's a possibility. Some sources had the ghost of King Ferrante appearing to the court surgeon with instructions to tell Alfonso that he was doomed. His progeny would first lose the kingdom, and then they would die. I don't know why he used the court surgeon as his intermediary. Why didn't he go straight to his son? But anyway, scary stuff. But Alfonso was a king, a general, and a condottieri. He was a man of steel. And he did what any other king, general, and condottieri would do in his shoes. He abdicated in favour of his son. There you go, son. Good luck to you. I'm off. And this seems extraordinary. Given the number of battles he'd been in, you'd think that he couldn't wait to get stuck into the French. It's hard to know what spooked him, unless, like his dad, he realised he wouldn't have his people behind him.
Because I suppose when he's off fighting somewhere, he's got soldiers away from home and he's the only one who's kind of paying them and ensuring they're in place.
That's true, yeah. Yeah. Or maybe he'd been dousing himself with mercury to get rid of lice too. Yeah.
Well, weren't all the people kind of chanting for his son, or was that because he ran away?
Yeah, that's for his son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we have a choice. Okay. Ferentino.
Yes.
Alfonso packed his ships with treasure and sailed for Sicily. And he died at the end of that year, December the 18th, 1495, unmourned by his people. And he died of gout, exacerbated by fever. And we heard there's several deaths from malaria in this area. In fact, lots. He wasn't mummified. So, or if he was, the mummy hasn't lasted. So we can't do any tests on him at all. One more word about mummies. We heard last week how Ferrante would mummify his enemies and place them in tableaux, like the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Very tasteful. In the 2011 television series The Borgias, which I say I haven't seen, they changed the ending a bit. They had Alfonso's killed, and his body becomes Judas Iscariot in Ferrante's Last Supper scene. I can see why they went for that, but it wasn't true.
Yeah. No, but yeah, it feels like poetically it should have. You know, I think this is why Ferrante's ghost appeared to his surgeon. I'll bet the surgeon moonlighted as the embalmer.
He probably did the mummies, yes.
The person he spent the most time with.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't warm to Alfonso. I don't know about you.
No. At least his father was kind of entertainingly nasty.
Yes. No, he is just thoroughly unpleasant. Really. One of the worst we've come across. I mean, we've done Dracula, and I still think Alfonso is one of the worst we've come across.
Yes. No. I'm sure everyone was very glad he was only king for a year, and much of that seemed to be spent hiding in Sicily, dying from malaria.
Yes. At least he had his treasure with him. That must have been a comfort.
Yeah.
Well, we're halfway through the Neapolitan lot. Next week we will see what his son did when his dad suddenly threw him this hot potato and said, there you go, have this. I'm off.
I'm hoping for better, but because how much worse could it get?
There is an upward trajectory throughout them all, I think.
Oh,
We started
that
with...
is pleasing.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's the There's a plateau at the beginning, a very low plateau. Can you have a low plateau?
Yeah.
Sure, but
A nadir.
yes, a big ditch, and then it creeps up. Not hugely, but creeps up.
Oh, I'll take anything at this point. Even somebody who only seems to kill people for understandable reasons.
I would say that fewer people are going to die of pain from now on.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that is such an unsettling phrase.
It
Die
is.
of pain.
Yes. It's so indeterminate. What the hell went on? So that'll be next week.
Yes. if we haven't scared everyone off completely with those two.
I think people like the baddies.
Yes.
More entertaining.
I understand Naples is a lovely place to visit, and almost no one will embalm you against your will if you go there now.
Yes. All the posters say, we guarantee you won't die of pain. You might be shot by the mafia, but you won't die of pain.
Oh dear, that's
interesting history, that is.
Yeah.
Okay, see you next week then.
See you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.